Let me tell you something that's going to sound like a riddle. I am a rich man sitting in a chair that I can barely get out of, hooked up to a machine that does the job my own kidneys quit doing. And I have spent the last 2 years trying to buy my way out of a problem that didn't cost me a dime to prevent. That's not a riddle. That's just stupidity. Expensive, slow, preventable stupidity. And I'm not here to get your sympathy. I don't want it. What I want is to grab you through this screen by whatever you're wearing and say, that thing you're putting off, that checkup, that blood work, that conversation with yourself about the way you're eating or drinking or sitting on that couch every night, you're not getting away with it. You think you are. I thought I was. For 30 years, I thought I was getting away with it. I made $3.2 million in commercial real estate before I turned 50. Closed my first six-figure deal at 29. Had a corner office by 34. My wife Linda and I raised 2 kids who actually turned out good. And I mean that, not in the way people say it at dinner parties. My son Marcus is in Charlotte, does something with servers I don't fully understand, calls me every Sunday. My daughter Ellie teaches 2nd grade right here in Savannah, married a guy named Paul, who's better than she deserved. Sorry, Paul. And they have a little girl named June, who is 2 years old and thinks I hung the moon. So when I tell you my life isn't a tragedy, I need you to hear me. I was there. I coached Little League for 6 seasons. I showed up for every single school play. And I'm talking about the bad ones, where they did grease and the kid playing Danny had a lisp. I took my family to Yellowstone in 2004, and I carried Ellie on my shoulders for 2 miles because she said her feet hurt. And those are the best 2 miles I've ever walked. I'm saying all this because I know what you're expecting. You're expecting me to say, I worked too much and missed the moments. I didn't miss the moments. I was there for the moments. What I missed was something so obvious, it's embarrassing to even say out loud. I missed me. I missed the part where I was supposed to take care of the one machine that makes all the other stuff run. So here's what I need you to do. Right now, open your phone. Look at when your last physical was. If it was more than a year ago, book one. Today. Not tomorrow, not next week. Today. I don't care if you feel fine. I felt fine for 20 years while my kidneys were quietly packing their bags. When I was about 40, I could close a deal over lunch at this barbecue place off Abercorn Street, and I'd eat a pulled pork plate with 2 sides of mac and cheese, sweet tea, and a slice of pecan pie. And then I'd go back to the office and work until 7. Felt like a king. My body was a machine. That's what I told myself. I'd say that exact phrase. My body is a machine. And I was right. It was a machine. One I never changed the oil in, never checked the tires, never once opened the hood. Here's something people don't understand about slowly destroying yourself. It doesn't feel like destruction. It feels like Tuesday. You're not making one catastrophic decision. You're making the same small decision 15,000 times, and each individual time, it's nothing. One more bourbon, one more skipped walk, one more I'll start Monday. None of those kill you by themselves, but you stack them up over 30 years and they become a wall. And one morning you wake up and you're on the wrong side of it and there's no door. Think about what you had for dinner last night. I'm serious. Whatever it was it something you chose or something you defaulted to? because I defaulted to fried food and bourbon for 3 decades. And I'm not talking about special occasions. I'm talking about a Wednesday in November, home by 6:30, pour the first glass while I'm loosening my tie, second glass while Linda's finishing dinner, third glass watching whatever game was on, fourth glass because the third one's empty. Every night. Not falling down drunk. Never once. Just steady. Bourbon on a drip, basically. And I'd tell myself it was fine because I never missed work, never got a DUI, never embarrassed myself at a company Christmas party. That's the bar I set. Not, am I healthy? Just, am I functional? And you might be doing the same thing right now with something, not necessarily drinking. Maybe it's the vaping. Maybe it's the energy drinks. Maybe it's the fact that you haven't moved your body with any real intention in 6 months. Maybe it's the sleep. 4, 5 hours, scrolling until midnight, alarm at 5:30, coffee to patch the gap. You're functioning, you're getting through the day, but getting through the day is not the same as being alive, and I need you to really hear that, because I spent 30 years getting through days, and I didn't realize I was using up the days I'd want most. In 2008, my doctor, a man named Dr. Aldrich Simmons, and I remember his face like it was this morning, sat me down and said, "Glenn, you're pre-diabetic. Your A1C is 6.3. We need to make changes now." And I said, and I swear this is verbatim, I said, "Doc, I hear you. I'm going to get to it. I'm going to get to it." Like it was a property I'd look at next quarter, like my pancreas was a deal I could close later. That was 14 years ago. Let me tell you what happened between "I'm going to get to it" and right now. My A1C went from 6.3 to 7.1 to 8.4 to 9.6. My weight went from 252 to 278. My blood pressure needed 2 medications, then 3. My ankles swelled up so bad I couldn't wear the good shoes I'd bought. My kidneys, which are not dramatic organs, they don't send you sharp pains or obvious warnings, they just quietly, politely fail. My kidneys went from stage 2 to stage 3 to stage 4, and by the time I was 60, I was sitting in a chair 3 times a week for 4 hours at a time while a machine cleaned my blood because my own body couldn't do it anymore. 3 times a week, 4 hours a session. Do the math on that. That's 12 hours a week, 624 hours a year. That's 26 full days I spend in a chair letting a machine do what a 30-minute walk and some grilled chicken could have prevented. I have spent more time on dialysis than I spent at Yellowstone with my daughter on my shoulders. Let that sit with you. Now, I'm going to tell you something, and I need you to really listen. If you're in your 20s or 30s right now, your body is lying to you. It is lying to you every single day. It's telling you everything is fine. It's absorbing the punishment like a brand new car absorbs potholes. Smooth ride, no feedback, no warning lights. But underneath the chassis, things are bending, things are cracking, and by the time the check engine light comes on, the engine is already halfway gone. I want you to go to your kitchen, look in your fridge. Be honest with yourself about what's in there. If the answer is mostly takeout boxes and condiments, that's a choice you're making. Buy 1 bag of vegetables this week, just 1. Cook them badly, I don't care. Eat them with hot sauce. It's a start. That's all I'm asking for, a start. People love to talk about regrets like they're all about relationships. I wish I'd told my father I loved him. I wish I'd spent more time with my kids. And those are real, and they matter. But nobody talks about the regret of having $1.8 million in the bank and needing a kidney you can't buy. Nobody talks about watching your granddaughter run across the yard and not being able to chase her because you get winded standing up from a chair. Nobody talks about the look on your wife's face when she has to help you out of the bathtub. Linda is 60 years old, and she is helping a 62-year-old man out of a bathtub like he's 90. You want to talk about regret? That's regret. That's the kind of regret that doesn't even have the decency to feel dramatic. It's just humiliating and small, and it happens on a Thursday afternoon, and nobody's there to see it except you and the woman you swore you'd take dancing when you retired. Linda and I were going to travel. That was the plan. Sell the commercial properties, cash out, travel. She wanted to go to Portugal. Has a picture of Lisbon on her phone she's been showing me for 6 years. We were going to rent one of those apartments with the tile floors and the balcony, and drink wine, and eat sardines, and not answer the phone for 2 weeks. You know where we went instead? The Savannah Kidney and Dialysis Center, 3 times a week. There's no tile floors, there's linoleum. And the only thing on the balcony is the HVAC unit. If I don't laugh about it, I'll put my fist through the drywall. And I don't have the arm strength for that anymore either. Here's what I want to tell you about money, since I know some of you are out there grinding, working 80 hours, building the portfolio, thinking the money is the thing. The money is a tool. I'm not going to sit here and tell you money doesn't matter. It does. It matters a lot. I'm a real estate man. I'm not going to lie to you about money, but here's what money can't do. It can't rewind a clock. It can't unbend a piece of rebar. You can't write a check to your kidneys. I have called the best nephrologists in the Southeast. I have looked into transplant programs in 3 states. I have sat across the desk from doctors the way I used to sit across from sellers. And I have tried to negotiate, and for the first time in my life, there is no deal to be made. The other side isn't selling. My body is not a property I can renovate. You know what kills me? Not literally, although give it time. What kills me is that I was disciplined in every other area. I was disciplined with money. Never missed a mortgage payment in 40 years. Disciplined with work. Showed up early, stayed late, returned every call. Disciplined with my kids. I said I'd coach. I coached. I said I'd be at the recital. I was at the recital. But my own body, I treated it like something I'd get to. Like a rental property I owned but never inspected. And that's the thing that drives me crazy. I applied every rule of real estate to my career and my family, but not to myself. In real estate, you know what we say? Deferred maintenance costs 10 times more than prevention. 10 times. I've said that to clients 1,000 times. You can fix this roof for $8,000 now, or replace it for $80,000 in 10 years. I said that. I believed it. I just never once applied it to the thing I was living inside of. So here's my closing statement, and I'm going to talk to you the way I'd talk to a buyer who's about to make a terrible deal. You are living inside the only property you will ever own that you cannot sell, cannot trade, and cannot rebuild from the ground up. You get one. And you are either maintaining it or you are letting it decay, and there is no middle ground, because neglect is decay. Every day you don't move your body, something gets a little stiffer. Every night you drink more than you should, something gets a little more damaged. Every meal you eat without thinking, something gets a little more clogged. And it's happening right now, in you, while you watch this, and you can't feel it, which is the cruelest part. I want you to go for a walk today, not a run, not a gym session, a walk. 20 minutes. Put your shoes on and walk around your block and pay attention to how your knees feel, how your back feels, how your breathing feels. That's your baseline inspection. That's you opening the hood for the first time. And if something doesn't feel right, don't do what I did. Don't say you'll get to it. My daughter Ellie brought June over last Saturday. June is 2, and she has these little rubber boots she wears everywhere, even inside. And she calls me Pop Pop in this voice that's so high it barely qualifies as sound. And she wanted me to come outside and look at a puddle. That was the invitation. A puddle, the most important event in the world to a 2-year-old. And I went outside and I stood there and I looked at this puddle with her, and she was stomping in it and laughing, and I wanted to stomp in it too. I wanted to get down on her level and splash around and act like an idiot and hear her scream laugh the way toddlers do. And I couldn't. I couldn't get down there, and if I'd gotten down, I couldn't have gotten back up. So I just stood there and I watched her, and she looked up at me and said, "Pop, Pop, you do it." And I said, "Pop, Pop's watching, baby." That's the tax. That's what 30 years of I'll get to it costs. Not some dramatic hospital scene, not some movie moment with machines beeping. It's a puddle. It's a 2-year-old in rubber boots asking you to jump, and you can't. I'm 62 years old. I have maybe 10 years left if the dialysis holds and the heart cooperates. And those are generous numbers my doctor gave me with his optimistic face on. 10 years. My dad lived to 89. His dad made it to 91. I had that in me. I had the genetics for almost 30 more years, and I ate and drank them away one Waffle House breakfast at a time. So here's the deal, and I'm going to put this in terms I understand. I'm offering you free information, no closing costs, no hidden fees, no inspection contingencies. The property you're living in is either appreciating or depreciating, starting right now, starting today. And you are the only contractor on the job. Nobody else is going to maintain it for you. Not your wife, not your doctor, not your future self. You. Today, go for the walk, book the physical, put down the glass, look in the fridge, pick one thing, just one, and do it differently this week than you did it last week. That's all. That's the whole deal. Because I promise you, on everything I have, and I have quite a lot of money and very little of everything else, I promise you, you do not want to be rich and broken in a chair, watching your granddaughter jump in a puddle through a window because you can't make it to the yard. Take care of your house. It's the only one you've got.